Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are someone who desires financial freedom and success, then you definitely won't want to miss this video, and be sure to watch until the end. I will introduce you to the 5 key points of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Understanding these 5 points will open the door to your wealth. To achieve financial freedom, the next step is to take action. My channel specializes in developing successful traits. Remember to subscribe to my channel to open the door to personal growth. If you are interested in financial management, financial freedom, and investment, then you must have heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book was written by Robert Kiyosaki. From the experiences of his own father and his friend's father, Kiyosaki learned 2 different financial educations. Kiyosaki's father was a government official with a high degree of education who believed in the traditional elite path of reading good books, finding good jobs, and working hard to upgrade. In contrast, his friend's father was a businessman who never finished high school and encouraged Kiyosaki to start a business and invest in order to strive for financial freedom. Clearly, the former was Kiyosaki's poor dad, while the latter was his rich dad. Even though Kiyosaki's poor dad had already reached the pinnacle of his field and even became the superintendent of education in Hawaii, he still didn't have enough time to spend with his family. In contrast, Kiyosaki's rich dad's company was on track, and with the passive income generated from investments, he had achieved financial freedom and truly made money work for him. As a result, Kiyosaki's rich dad had enough time to educate his children and do the things he wanted to do. This teaches us that success is not only about position and wealth, but also about freedom and time. Therefore, Mr. Kiyosaki's financial philosophy mainly comes from his rich dad, who believed that poor people work for money, while rich people make money work for them. Liking money is not being materialistic, but rather loving the freedom that wealth can bring. Understanding the importance of money, but who wants to spend their entire life working for it? This education began when Kiyosaki was 9 years old. No matter what age you are, if you want to achieve financial freedom as Kiyosaki's rich dad suggested, then you cannot miss the following 5 key points. Key point 1 of Rich Dad. Poor Dad. Savings are the starting point of poverty. Poor Dad says that you should work hard to earn money and then save it. Rich Dad says that saving and storing money will only make you poor. Since the abandonment of the gold standard, our money has only become more devalued over time. The gold standard was a system in which a country needed a certain amount of gold to print a corresponding amount of paper currency. After World War II, the US dollar was tied to gold and became the standard currency. However, in 1971, the US ended the gold standard, allowing them to print dollars without backing them with gold reserves. This is the root cause of inflation. Rich Dad says that if you only save money and don't understand how to invest it, your wealth cannot continue to grow. For example, if you deposit all your savings of 100,000 yuan into a bank account with a fixed interest rate of 2% per year, after 10 years, your wealth will only increase by about 22%. But the inflation rate is usually higher than 2% per year, so your purchasing power will decrease. In addition, if you have unexpected expenses or emergencies and need to withdraw your savings, you may face high penalties or interest rates. Therefore, Rich Dad advises us not to see money as the goal, but as a tool. We must learn to invest and turn our money into assets, allowing our wealth to continue to grow. Although investing may come with risks, risk management is something we can learn. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Key point 2. Understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. If you own a house for your own residence, is it an asset or a liability? Poor Dad says it's definitely an asset, while Rich Dad says it's definitely a liability. First, everyone needs to understand the definitions of assets and liabilities. Rich Dad says that anything that puts money in your pocket is an asset. Poor Dad often told Mr. Kiyosaki that his assets included the house he was living in. At that time, Mr. Kiyosaki believed him because he lacked real financial education. Why is your own home a liability rather than an asset? This is due to the money flow that comes with owning a home. We know that most homes usually come with a mortgage. The mortgage takes money out of our pockets every month, so until the mortgage is paid off, the house can only be a liability. Of course, you may argue that the house will appreciate in value, Yes, most houses will appreciate in value, but remember Rich Dad's definition of assets and liabilities. If you are constantly paying money out every month due to loan repayments and losing cash flow, then it is definitely a liability. For example, Poor Dad's situation. He owns a free home worth $1 million, but he still owes $800,000 on the mortgage and needs to pay $2,000 in mortgage payments every month. Rich Dad's situation. He owns a rundown metal house worth only $200,000, but he continuously receives rental income of $400 every month. Although Poor Dad seems to have a valuable property in his hands, those who have received real financial education know that based on cash flow, Rich Dad is the truly wealthy person. Even if it's just a rundown metal house, anything that puts money in your pocket is an asset. Do you understand now? The book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, emphasizes 3 key points, one of which is understanding the ESBI quadrant. According to the author, there are 4 quadrants that people can be divided into: employees, self-employed individuals, business owners, and investors. Employees are essentially workers who rely on their jobs for a steady income. They work for a company and contribute their time and effort to help the company grow. However, they do not have their own business or career to develop. When they leave their job, they do not take anything with them. Self-employed individuals, on the other hand, are typically professionals who have a high degree of expertise in their field. Examples include dentists, lawyers, and athletes. They work for themselves and have more freedom in terms of time, but they still exchange their time for money. If they stop working, their income stops as well. Business owners have a team of people working for them to generate income for the company. Many business owners start as self-employed individuals who realize they cannot do everything themselves and need to leverage other people's time and skills. They create systems and processes to help their company make money even when they are not physically present. In summary, the author encourages readers to strive to become business owners or investors, as these quadrants offer more opportunities for wealth creation and financial freedom. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Key point 3. Understanding the ESBI quadrant. Rich Dad taught us that people can be divided into 4 quadrants: employees, self-employed individuals, business owners, and investors. Employees are essentially wage earners who work for companies. They have stable jobs, but little room for growth. They are essentially cogs in the company's wheel, working to make money for their bosses. They may think that they are working for their own careers, but in reality, they are just building their bosses' businesses. When they leave their jobs, they have nothing to show for it. Self-employed individuals are professionals such as dentists, lawyers, and athletes who work for themselves. They typically have high levels of expertise and can earn more money than employees. However, if they want to earn more, they have to work more. They can't escape the fact that they are trading time for money. Business owners have a team of people working for them. They often start out as self-employed individuals, but when they realize they don't have enough time, they begin to use money to buy other people's time. They create systems that make money for their companies. If you are a good boss, you can leverage your team's time and multiply your productivity. Investors are people who use money to make money. They invest in various financial instruments to earn profits. To become a true investor, you need a substantial amount of capital, but you don't need to trade your time for money. You can be in control of your time and do what you want to do. Rich Dad's most intelligent strategy was to use money to buy employees' time. If you have 10 employees working 8 hours a day, you can get 80 hours of productivity. Rich Dad also said that true investors are not just people who buy stocks, but those who can generate substantial profits through their insight and ability. Rich Dad also talked about the 20/80ths rule, which is illustrated in the ESBI quadrant. The left side of the quadrant represents 80% of the population who work for money, but only share 20% of the wealth. The right side of the quadrant represents the 20% of the population who have the wealth, but don't have to work for it. If you want to move from the left side of the quadrant to the right side, you need to find ways to buy other people's time and use your money to generate profits. Key point 4 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich people don't work for money. Firstly, Rich Dad points out that wealthy individuals can still work and enjoy their jobs, and that not working doesn't necessarily equate to making money. In fact, traditional employment income is often the worst kind of income because it's subject to high tax rates in many countries. In contrast, passive income from investment portfolios in the US, for example, is subject to special tax rates, and businesses are eligible for special tax subsidies. In Taiwan, income from securities and futures trading is tax-free. Most schools teach us to study hard and get a good job for a steady income, but they don't teach us how to earn passive income through investing. Unfortunately, regular employment income is often subject to the highest tax rates, which is why the gap between the rich and poor continues to grow. Rich Dad teaches us that wealthy individuals prioritize investment, while poor individuals prioritize consumption. Even though he has a lot of money, Rich Dad is very frugal, driving an inexpensive car and living in an affordable home. In contrast, poor individuals often fall into a vicious cycle of buying expensive cars and homes on credit, buying luxury items to appear wealthy, and spending their entire lives working to pay off their debt. Rich people focus on investing their money, accumulating assets, and using the profits generated by those assets, such as interest from stocks and bonds, rental income from real estate, etc., to support their lifestyle while minimizing debt. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Key point 5. How to achieve financial freedom. First of all, financial freedom does not only mean having a lot of money. Rich Dad has a specific definition of financial freedom, which is having passive income that covers total expenses. That's why Rich Dad emphasizes not working for money, because active income is not the same as passive income. Passive income can come from investments or rental properties. As retirement approaches, the financial situation of Rich Dad and Poor Dad becomes markedly different. Poor Dad loses his job due to the party he supported losing the governor's race and starts investing and doing business. But his lack of experience and accumulation in this area leads to repeated failures and eventually drains his savings. Therefore, if you want to achieve financial freedom as soon as possible, you must find ways to move from the left quadrant to the right quadrant. These 5 points are the essence of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have you understood them? However, understanding alone is not enough. You have to take action. If you think my video can help you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell. Thank you.